Alrighty, it is Tuesday, March 8th. Well, if you're watching it tomorrow, it's Tuesday, March 8th. And here it is, another deadline, another carrot for the owners to give to the players to agree to their terms. Today's deadline is if you want a full season, full pay, you have to agree to our terms. You have to agree to what we want you to agree to. That's what it takes to go ahead and sign the dotted line and have a full season. And we'll talk about that and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter, Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
And thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, why don't you go and subscribe to us? It takes a second. Hit the red button and give us a like while you're at it. And go and listen to us on your way to work, on your way home to work, on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Take a listen to us on take a listen to Locked On Astros podcast because we got you. And on this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about the CBA. The owners are throwing out another deadline. We're going to kind of expand upon the shift. I know a lot of people have been talking about banning the shift. Is it good for baseball? And we know one player specifically on the Houston Astros who's going to help. And we're Mr. John Singleton is back in baseball. And Tyler White is also on the same team, and they're actually competing for the same job. So that's something that we're going to kind of talk about later on. So a lot to talk about today. So I know Brett was like, yeah, man, let's not talk about the lockout today. Let's not talk about that. Then Evan Drellick kind of dropped a bomb and said that, yeah, the owners and the players did meet today. And they're kind of taking a step backwards. And it just seems like when they're making forward progress, the players make a proposal and the owners think, wow, are they not even listening to us? It's kind of like as a teacher, we teach the students and the students take a test and it's like, are you even listening to us?
Do we have to reteach what we just taught? Exactly. So Evan Drellich fired off a couple tweets, and you had sent me some, and I actually pulled them up. And this was an hour before we actually came on the show. So if you're listening to us on Tuesday, and if you don't have Twitter, you may not see these things. And I'll go ahead and read the first tweet, Eric, that he fired off. And then we'll go from there because I know you looked into it a little bit more than I have. MLB and MLBPA lawyers met, planning to meet again on Tuesday. MLB has suggested that Tuesday as a deadline. It eyes for three things: playing 162, for players to get full pay and full service time, but pay, service, schedule can't be unilaterally chosen. It needs to be negotiated.
And then he goes on to say, how are the 162 games still on the table after Commissioner Rob Manfred postponed opening day and canceled the first two series of the season? Presumably, those two series can be rescheduled, even if opening day is later than originally scheduled March 31st. And then he goes on to say that MLB has also told the Players Association it expects to cancel another week of games without a deal being reached tomorrow. So basically, he's saying, look, if you agree to our terms, we'll go ahead and give you a full season. We'll give you your full service time. We'll give you what you want. But if you don't agree to our terms, we will cancel another week.
Well, here's the thing. And
no soup for you.
Well, Evan Drellich and Ken Rosenthal, I mean, they work together obviously with the Athletic. He's got a book coming out that Ken helped him write about the Astros. Imagine that. But Ken Rosenthal actually said the league presented multiple options for Union to consider. One player briefed on discussion said they titled too far in the league's favor,
Right.
and another player active in the Union said, "I'm done getting my hopes up." So this, Eric, to me, can spell disaster. So, like, this next week is probably the most crucial week for the future of the 2022 season. And I'll be real honest. We'll get to comments later, but if owners are really hurting for money the way they claim they are hurting because of 2020, then there's no way they're going to let the season be canceled, right?
No, and we'll have to talk about what a certain owner says from one of
Exactly.
the most storied franchises in baseball. But
Not the
are you
Houston Astros.
no? So you think that the owners and the
Oh,
players
look
are
at
going
that.
to make it rain?
Whoa, Eric's making it rain singles up in here. Wow, we're getting turned up
Well,
on Locked On
actually, that
Astros.
was a 20 and a 10 as well. So it wasn't
Oh,
just
look at you
singles.
flexing. Look at you flexing the cash. It's probably not even real money, Eric. Well, at 20s and 10s. This guy only runs. Oh, wow, good job. He's flashing money. See, you see what baseball's doing to us? He's raining singles in the club. We're getting turned up. He's got 20s and 10s. It's gonna be a wild
I'm
podcast,
two
guys.
turnt, Eric.
We are turned on Astros. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Anyways, my bad.
All right. So Evan Drellick just tweeted this out, and he said that MLB offered to start the CBT at 228. So they're actually willing to go up a little bit. So they've been stuck at that 220 mark for so long, and they're willing to go up to that 228 mark. And I know that John Heyman mentioned earlier in the day, well, if the players are here and the owners are here, why don't you meet in the middle? And so this is kind of them going. So the owners are planning at tomorrow, starting at 228 million, and they're going to have to probably reach that 238 before the end of the day. So it
Okay.
sounds like the owners are going tomorrow to get the deal done. That's
Yeah.
what Evan
Hey,
Drellick is kind of.
um, you know, and that's the thing. That's what it's going to take. And I'm going to explain real quick, just 2 or 3 sentences of the crux of this matter. And it was explained to me by Josh Neighbors from Locked On Nationals tonight on our little meeting we had for Locked On. And he said, what a lot of people don't understand is that when we talk about revenue, like other leagues like NBA, NFL, all these leagues have defined what revenue is. There isn't a clear definition of what revenue is in Major League Baseball. That's one issue. Number two, the players are having to predict what the revenue is going to be after 2026 because there's no way of them knowing that. That is the trick in what the players are asking for and what the owners want to know what the players really want. The players like, well, we know what we want more, but we can't predict the future. So we don't know what the revenues will be. We just know the chart from the past has gone at a straight 45-degree angle and ours has dipped down into the negative quadrant. So that is really the crux of this. And the fact that they're moving the CBT and the fact that they're maybe getting closer, Eric, maybe it's not Chicken Little and maybe the sky's not falling, but it is just hard to tell. I mean, literally, I don't know what to make of anything anymore.
You know what? I know we talked about Carl Ravitz's tweet the other day about the season being canceled, and if they don't, owners and the players don't come up with agreement. And I think that both sides are realizing that this, if they're really deadlocked as after Sunday's meeting, as they really both sides really felt, both sides are really wanting to come up with things. So we'll talk about. New York Yankees president Randy Levine's whole some more quotes later, but this is what he had to say about the possibility of canceling the whole season. That's a mind-boggling, horrid thought. Shame on all of us if that ever gets to that. Shame on all of us.
No, wait, who is that said that? Say again.
New York Yankees president. I just shifted.
Levine. His last name is
Randy
Levine.
Levine. Yeah.
Randy Levine. Randy Levine said a lot of things too that I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
And
And we'll
yeah,
talk about that in a second, but it sounds like he's betting on it kind of getting it worked out. And speaking of that, let's talk about betonline.net.
so betonline.net is great. Football might be over this season, but basketball's in full swing for both pro and college hoops. The Rockets are trying to charge towards the number one pick in the lottery draft. The U of H Cougars are in March Madness and looking to get back to another Final Four under Calvin Sampson. What will they do? From the latest odds, totals, player performances, the props to where the next fired head coach is going to land, betonline.net is the number one sport for all sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information as my camera falls. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. You got to love camera fails during the live podcast.
Okay, I thought we were going to do the rest of the show like this.
No, thanks. No, Eric, you don't have to make adjustments. I haven't found a permanent place for my camera on my computer, so there you go.
All right. Make sure you check out the Locked On MLB prospects. I know you make the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen, but check out host Lindsey Crosby. He's a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. I mean, they're the only guys actually playing baseball right now in Arizona and Florida. So it's free and available wherever you get your podcast. So let's get back to what Randy Levine, the New York Yankee president, is talking about. So he was doing an interview with real Michael K, and I think he's a New York radio host or something.
No, he is like the Yes Network with New York. He's big New York Yankee broadcaster.
Well, that's why I said New York guy.
He's like hardcore Yankees guy.
Yeah, that's why I said. So he said, Levine said, forget blaming people or yelling people or being mad at people. We are where we are. We need to get this done. And then he also said, if you give money from the pot to younger players, there may be less money for older players. From a union side, they have to measure all of these various consistencies and do what's practical. The owners are pretty united. There's no divide right now. There are disagreements. Everyone on our side needs to understand that they have to compromise in order to get some and negotiate. Nobody's ever said anything with the threshold. There's not going to be any movement. Like like he just said, there's not going to be any movement with the threshold. Oh, sorry. Nobody ever said anything with the threshold. There's not going to be any movement.
Yeah, I don't know. This is what I do know about what he said, which is I think is a bunch of hogwash. He said if you pay young players more, you won't be able to play the older players anymore. The Detroit Tigers made $3.8 billion last year. The Detroit freaking Tigers. The bottom of the barrel, Spencer Torkelson, AJ Hinch is there to rebuild this team, this city that has a baseball team that hasn't had success since Scherzer and Verlander and all them left. They have plenty of money. Let me interpret what Mr. Levine said for us common folk. Basically, what he's saying is the players want more revenue. If they get more revenue, we won't be making as much money. So if they want to get more revenue, then we'll give it to them. But then some players are going to be undercut because we will not give up our profit margins because the players want more of our pie. It's our money. We're owners. We own the team. That's basically what he's saying. Now, I am not in the business of telling a man or a woman how to spend their money in their company. But the players are clearly saying the revenue's gone through the roof. We have not been benefactors of that. Had it not been for the players, the revenue wouldn't be worth a darn.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
So, but to close out this topic, he's also said that nobody's crying poverty. What people are just saying is we need to be appropriate and proportional in how much money's out there. So it's not realistic and not unrealistic. So basically, he's just trying to give his side of the story, and because
Yeah.
everybody's heard the players' side of the story, nobody's heard the poor owner's side of
Oh
the
man,
story.
and I feel so bad for them. I feel terrible for them. It's like when insurers go through hurricane season, they don't want to. They have to start paying out all these insurance claims. They don't like paying out insurance claims because then they don't make any money. The owners don't want to give up their revenue. I get that. They're businessmen first. And the bottom line is, though, you've got a game that's waning in popularity. You've got a game that is the least popular of all the major sports, and they're killing the soul of baseball in any momentum. You've got Shohei Ohtani. You've got Mike Trout. You've got Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez. You've got Fernando Tatis Jr. You've got Vlad Guerrero Jr. You've got Wander Franco. I mean, do I need to keep going on and on? The star power this league has the potential to have, and yet whatever, it doesn't mean anything.
All right. So with all this crap that they can't agree upon, they did agree on a few things, and let's go
They
and
did.
kind of address some of those. They something that we didn't talk about yesterday was MLB now has the right to implement rule changes with a 45-day notice instead of a full year.
Mm.
And they've tried to. They're going to do a pitch clock now. They've also done the shift, the banning of the shift and the enlarging of the bases in 2023, but they weren't able to pass the automatic strike zone. That's something that, and I think that that was banned, not banned, but that the player said no to that for 2022 and 2023. That's something that the players have no interest in doing.
Now here's the thing, even though we agreed to it, it's not an official rule yet.
Well, yeah,
It's all this is agreed to in principle. It's like a handshake deal. We're going to do this. And at the end of the day, the larger bases, I don't know if you've seen them, Eric, but I was out at Sugarland when they were putting the bases out. And I said, why are those bases so big? And Ryan Posner from the Space Cowboys said, hey, come here and look at this. So he showed me the old bases compared to the new bases. They are huge. I mean, what if they put in the bigger bases and teams don't steal anymore? That would be funny. And then banning the shift. Like, I've been the biggest advocate against the shift, but I think if you limit the shift, it makes it more valuable. It makes it more of a chess piece. I think you can give a team 3 to 4 shifts per game when you need to use it. I think that would be genius. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like if they're going to limit pitchers to having a minimum
like
of
coach
3.
visits, you can only have so many
Exactly.
shifts.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, why
Well,
not?
how are you gonna limit that? You're gonna be like, okay,
No, what?
Dusty, that's a shift. You only get 5 more.
Yeah.
Dusty, that's a shift.
Okay,
You only get 4
Eric.
more.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. You read the assignment. Yes. So if the shortstop goes over second base to go into the outfield, yes, if you have 3 guys on one side of the field, that constitutes a shift. And then you say, okay, that's 1 shift. You have 4 left. You have 5 chances to do the shift. Why ban it totally? I don't mind having the shift if it's used in moderation. I don't like it being used too much. I think it's overused. And but it works. The reason why they do it, why? Because it works.
Just ask Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo was the most shifted player probably in baseball, and all he had to do was bunt the ball down the line, and he would have a probably 300 batting average.
You
But
could you could throw that guy off by not shifting at all and just go, you're just going to strike out. Why are we going to shift?
yeah, so that kind of brings up a point like why why are they doing this? I know it's to speed up the game. It's to maybe bring up more offense. Like how many
Offense
times?
has gone down.
Yeah,
Runs have gone down. And what do we like, Eric? Do we like a 3-6 football game decided by 3 field goals? No, we like a 45-38 football game.
but if you
We
have more
like,
offense, you're going to have longer
yeah.
games.
Yeah, what do we like? I mean, the NBA is all offense. There's absolutely no defense played in the NBA. I mean, a team the other day just scored a record 130 something
Okay.
points. I mean,
Okay, Brett, but if you have the pitch clock, the whole point for the pitch clock is to speed up the game. But now, if you eliminate the shift, I know the shift is only affecting the outcome of the game so often, but it's gonna increase the offense and it's gonna increase the scoring
true.
a little bit, and
Yeah,
so
I
that's
think
gonna make the games longer.
well,
L-
yeah, but well,
Like
not
something that could have
necessarily.
been a double play is now going to become a single up the middle.
Yeah, true. Well, here's and this is the problem, Eric. You bring up a great point. Like I just had this light bulb. Yeah, quit screwing with the game. Quit trying to change it. Like, okay, the shift, whatever, the shift is kind of new or they've been doing it for a while. But I mean, you saw them try that ridiculous thing with the runner on second. Thank God that awful rule is gone. But let me tell you about this automatic balls and strikes. I'm told you, I witnessed it when it was in Sugarland, when it was the Skeeters Independent League. It was seamless. I didn't know the difference between a game with one or without one. And it didn't make a difference out of the outcome of any of the games I watched. It's
Yeah,
not
but
as bad as you think.
the
I
players are going to want somebody to yell at. Blue, what's up? What's
well,
that?
but they have the ability to override a call. If
Yeah.
a ball bounces in the dirt and the sensor falters, they're not going to call it a strike. They'll call it a ball.
Uh,
One thing, okay, look, I would say if I was MLB, if you're going to do all these things, you've got to allow our situational relief pitchers to return. Because if you're going to give us a pitch clock, you're going to try to shorten the
Oh,
game.
that's right.
You got to quit telling us we have to face three batters. That has taken a huge strategical aspect out of the relief pitching game.
But that is speeding up the clock as well. And so it's just like
True.
it's they're all trying to fit this newer generation of they need instant gratification. Oh, I need to everything's in this. And if it's not instant, like basketball is up and down the court, and like baseball is just trying to just become that faster thing. That's what the whole pitch clock is for. That's what everything is for. They're trying to speed up the game. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that saying that what's wrong with the game? We love the game. It's entertaining. The length of the game is perfect.
I
And
saw I saw a guy making that comment. He goes, "I love an 18 inning baseball game." Like, dude, okay,
maybe
maybe
not
if
18
it's
innings.
so. Hey, look at the comment I just posted. Johnny Munoz, our friend, our buddy
He's
from the
back.
RGV, he's back.
What's up,
Maybe
Johnny?
maybe that's a sign. He said bullpen pitchers get to use the bullpen cart.
I
I
didn't recognize him
absolutely
because he
love
didn't
it.
have his picture. You need to get your
I
picture
know,
back, buddy.
dude. Johnny,
So,
welcome back to the show, brother. Glad you're
uh,
here.
speaking of which, who would benefit very good from banning the shift? We'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, you know who'd benefit from maybe a Built Bar? John Singleton. So let's talk about Built Bar.
I think John Singleton likes a lot more than Built Bars. Maybe he has the munchies, but I digress. So Built Bar has this great thing called a Built Puff. It's a marshmallow that's infused with protein. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. They're covered in 100% chocolate. Puffs, that's a funny word we're using talking about John Singleton. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors. Yummy cinnamon churro, coconut marshmallow, and banana cream pie. So when you get those cravings, John Singleton, you can run over to built.com and grab a Built
You're
Bar.
done.
It's wrapped in 100% chocolate, high protein, low calorie. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to the candy bar. Why am I even going to read the stats? It'd be like read the stat line from a Rangers game and see what the Rangers offense did. Awful, right? So mint brownie, coconut almond, and new this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. So if you didn't fleece a team for $1 million for 10 years like John Singleton did, go to builtbar.com and use a promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. Now, actually, that's built.com at LOCKED15 using to get that 15% off your order, builtbar.com. I trust you. Even when John Singleton gets the munchies, then he will grab a Built Bar just like you.
Tell us about Rock Auto.
Well, if you have a car that needs to be repaired and you are tired of the seemingly arduous task of going to the auto parts store and being told that you're being charged more. Now, they don't tell you, but they charge you more when you're not a mechanic. They've got deals with mechanic shops. Well, not rockauto.com. They're family owned. They've been around for 20 years. Why spend 30, 50, sometimes 100% more for the same auto parts? And there's more variety. The auto parts stores and the manufacturers, they have one or two options, not Rock Auto. They have the best parts. It's reliably low on price. It's an easily navigable website. I bought stuff from there. I've even used their website. I wouldn't promote it if I didn't know it was true. So go explore their easy to do website and find the solution for your auto part needs, whether you have a car, van, bus, truck, whatever it is you drive. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your vehicle. Right, locked on in there. How did you hear about us box so that they know that we sent you? Amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
All right. So now that we talked about John Singleton, let's go ahead and bring up the reason why before we talk about who's going to benefit from the shift. John Singleton.
Okay, yeah. So benefiting from the shift, we have two players in mind. I know Eric has one player in mind, and he actually put his picture on the show, template, and you put Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah.
I think, and you can explain Yordan Alvarez, I think Kyle Tucker would benefit from the shift just as much, if not more, because I think Tucker has the ability to hit for a higher average than Yordan. What do you think?
Well, I just think that when Alvarez doesn't crush it, he hits a lot of ground balls up the middle and into the shift. And we see teams a lot, especially with him being a left-handed hitter. He tends to hit the ground balls up to the left side, so they tend to shift. And not necessarily a Joey Gallo shift, but they tend to do that a lot for him. So I see that them shifting him. So if they kind of get the shift away from him, then the second baseman would be all alone out there. Then maybe the more of those hard hit balls will get past him versus going to the
Exactly.
shortstop or third base, whoever's covering out there. So
No, yeah, in Mr. Corona puts the comment in the comment section. He says Tucker would have been MVP in 2021. That would be really, really, it would be interesting to see. And we need to have one of these what if shows. Like, what if they would have banned the shift in 2021? Or what if AJ Hinch had left Zach Greinke in? I mean, we got some great what if questions in Astros history.
just what if in game 2 of the 2021 World Series versus Braves, what if they weren't shifted when Yuli Gurriel was up and the ball didn't get past? The Astros wouldn't have scored those runs and wouldn't have gone on to win the game 5-1, I think it was.
Yeah, true. I mean, the what ifs can hurt you or help you. Johnny's asking, can the outfield still shift?
Yeah.
So the shift
Yeah,
is, as I understand it,
that's the infield shift.
The infield shift, what the intention of the rule will be, from what I understand, from what I've heard from people on this, is that it means that 4 feet have to be in the dirt or on the side between first and second and between second and third when the play is initiated. A player can still go to the outfield, but you have to have at least 1 foot in the dirt. Like, you can't, or if it's 4 feet, then you can't put your second baseman in right field. Okay. You can't put your shortstop in left field, and you can't shift. You can put your shortstop all the way up to right at the second base line, but he can't go over that. If he goes over that, that's an illegal shift. But are they going to have? Are they going to have yellow flags like in the NFL? Illegal shift, illegal motion, 5-yard penalty for, what I'm saying? Like, how are they going to police that? It's just weird.
The team hitting gets a ball.
There you go. Or can we just shift away from Manfred? I love that, Johnny. Great comment.
Or it's like in co-ed softball, if you walk a guy, the girl behind him walks.
What? Hold on. I haven't played co-ed softball. Wait, that's a thing?
Uh-huh.
What is it like? Is that called the equal opportunity walk?
I don't know, but I just remember I would walk and everybody would yell at me.
I see.
I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, what? It was at my toes. How am I supposed to swing at that? And they're
Oh,
like,
so wait, so you mean if they walk you even on pitches? I thought you meant intentional. If they walk you on four balls, if there's a female behind you batting, they have to walk
well,
her.
that's what was in my ISD league. I think that's
That's
the UIL thing.
that seems kind of sexist, man. Well, I mean, what if that girl can mash, bro? You putting her on the
Well,
base and taking the bat out of her hand. That's not fair to Sally hit the home run. Anyways, that's weird, dude. I have to get one of these softball leagues one of these days. So, anyways, here's the thing. Baseball is at a crossroads right now. They're using words like deadlock, which I absolutely hate that word. They are talking about how it's not about money. It's like when this guy was interviewed, Eric, I wanted to say, tell me you're not about the money without telling me you're not about the money. Because that's what it really felt like in that conversation. And everybody was blowing up the TL today, just going off on this guy. Yankees fans were absolutely laughing. You know what I've noticed? Yankees fans have shifted. They're not big Hal Steinbrenner fans. I don't know if you've noticed that. They feel like he's one of the owners that are holding things up. And I really don't think it's the big owners. I think it's the small market teams.
so a question I saw come up, maybe it was on, I think it was actually in the Crawfish Boxes chat, but how does the luxury tax threshold going up affect the Astros re-signing Carlos Correa? That's something maybe we can talk about in a future show. But if the owners are starting at 228,
Yeah,
where are they going to finish?
exactly.
And if they end up at 238, that's a whole extra 20,000 from where they were supposed to be. And they had
Well,
a 20,000, I mean, sorry, 20 million. Sorry, not 20 million.
20,000. Ooh, big bucks.
20 million from they had about 20 million already kind of wiggle room. So now if they have 40 million wiggle room, maybe they've got some money to do that. But at the same time, are you handcuffing yourself down the road?
Exactly.
So that's something we can talk about later.
Here's it.
Because
Yeah, and here's something I want to address because this would be a good kind of note to kind of start winding things down. And I'll make this one of the last points. Mr. Corona asked a great question. He says, if we were betting man, which two players would y'all say have a McGuire Sosa type home run chase? I honestly think the first two names that come to mind is a healthy Mike Trout and or Shohei Ohtani and Vlad Guerrero Jr. Or even I think you could have up to four players. I think you have a Tatis Jr. if he stays healthy, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Shohei Ohtani, I mean, that would be a great home run chase because those guys can absolutely mash. And if Mike Trout comes back, he could be that third guy. Ken Griffey Jr. was in that 1998 home run chase for a long, long time up towards the end. And a lot of people don't talk about him. And you can see the Mark McGwire jersey I have behind me. I got that signed in the Astrodome in 1998. The game he hit his 31st home run, the 11th Upper Deck home run in the Astrodome was hit. He signed that jersey that day in the Dome. And I think they have 3 or 4 or 5 players that would make a great home run race. I say give them some roids and let them just mash the ball out of the park. Why not? Let's go 1990s home run juice style and let's bring the game back. I mean, we need to gain popularity, right?
yeah, maybe. And Mouse Panini, I've been seeing your messages about McCullers. Yeah, if Lance McCullers was healthy, maybe the World Series in 2021 would have been different. But that goes back to the what ifs. We don't really know what would have happened because
That
the
would be something
Astros.
to add to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can definitely talk about that in next show. But one thing I do have to get to is I was choking earlier when I was trying to do it. But John Singleton, he's back in he's back in Major League camp for the first time. He is working out with the Brewers. Him and old buddy Tyler White are buddy over there at first base, and so he's still got the buttons. He's still got the button out like that with the uniform. So he's still the same guy. So I wish nothing but the best for that guy. I mean, he was supposed to be the next star for the Astros, and I hope that he finds his success. But
No, yeah, let's hope he's not the same guy. But a better guy than what he was, and hopefully that these bumps in the road that he's been on and his trek back. He definitely deserves another shot. He definitely deserves to come back in the game. And Tyler White, maybe he finds it. You remember when Tyler White came in the league and he was batting like 656 and he took the league by storm, and it was like, oh my God, who is this Tyler White guy? And then he just fizzled out and phased out, and just on and on and on. But yeah, hey, Singleton, we don't begrudge him. I know I joked a little bit about it, but hey, this is life. And if you can't laugh at yourself, then, maybe you're not living good.
Yeah. All right. That's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Make sure you check out Sully over the Locked On MLB podcast. He's the encyclopedia of MLB. He knows every pitch from every game, and he does a great podcast over there. So check us out and check him out. He's on YouTube as well. So go subscribe to him over at the Locked On MLB podcast. Check us out at the Locked On Astros podcast, and we'll be talking Astros baseball all season. Hopefully, we get agreement today. That would be awesome. We get a full 162 game season. That'd be great. Make it happen. But at the same time, I just think that the two sides are too far apart. But it sounds like the owners are willing to kind of maybe meet them halfway. So we'll see. That's all we got, and we'll talk to you later. Go Astros.